Hi guys, I'm back from my vacation in Florida, and today I will be reviewing Sister Wives Season 14, Episode 7, called Why Not One House? But first, I'd like to remind everybody to please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it, and if you like this video, please leave a like. In this episode, a few of the highlights include Kody makes Robyn cry. Kody says it's time to put the ladies' feet to the fire when it comes to the big house. He wants to know why don't they like the idea? It just doesn't make sense to him, I guess. So he's going to make a big pro-con list and kind of put them on the spot. But first, vision boards. The wives all get together at Mary's huge rental house to make vision boards and talk about the big house without Kody there, which I think is a good idea because Kody puts so much pressure on them and kind of makes them feel uncomfortable sometimes. Robyn actually says that she had a vision board before marrying into the family, and everything on that vision board came true. So she's a true believer. She had on her vision board that she wanted to marry in a plural family, check. She wanted to write a New York Times bestseller, check. And she wanted to quote unquote change the world, and she thinks that the family helped her do that a little bit. Christine is also a big believer in vision boards apparently. She says it's like a religion to her, and Janelle could not care less. There are so many differences between the wives, and this is one example. But it just goes to show how they just don't think the same. So Robyn starts the conversation just by saying that she's sad, she's having a rough day because her house in Vegas is closing today, and it shuts the door to going back for her. And Robyn just is so fixated on the cul-de-sac as this ideal. She really misses the cul-de-sac, guys. So Janelle starts off the conversation by saying that before, when they lived in one house, like in Lehigh, the space just wasn't fair. Christine had 3 bedrooms, Janelle had 4. Christine was basically the nanny, so it just wasn't really fair. But that this whole one house design, it's perfect because it's fair and people have their privacy, and it's just not the same situation. Janelle thinks that Christine is really against the idea because she's not getting that this is completely different in terms of design. But Christine's still not having it. Like, don't even try to reason with her because she is 100% against the idea. She says that basically when they lived all together, Kody was just everywhere and she couldn't have a private relationship with him except in their bedroom. Like, the jealousy situation is real with Christine. And by the way, up to this point, Mary has not said a word. And they ask Mary finally, like, what she thinks, and there's a big pause. She sighs and says that it would be really hard to be in one house. She hates the garage design, and she thinks that the garage would be the least of their issues. She's just being real. Like, hey guys, what are you even thinking? This would be a disaster. My impression of the whole thing is that there's just a whole lot they're not saying, and they're kind of like tiptoeing around things and kind of saying their opinions, but there's more to the story. This whole segment ends with Robyn being kind of emotional, and she says that this house that they're creating, it's like creating a new world, a first-class polygamous house. And she wonders, did they fail for not being able to agree to be in one house? Next, Janelle is moving closer to Christine to a new rental. At this point, they should be able to start a moving business because honestly, they've been moving for like 11 months straight. Like, every episode they're moving someone, somewhere. It's ridiculous. And as Christine is helping move out Janelle's exercise bike, she punches a hole through the wall. And while they're moving, Kody sits down the wives. And they're kind of ready to tell him the outcome of that whole vision board situation and tell him, look, the big house, it's just not gonna work. But Kody is ready to go with a big pro-con list. He wants answers. He does not think they're being open-minded enough, and he wants to know what is the emotional hang-up. One of the major cons is the resale value. It would be so much harder to liquidate that house if, let's say, Kody passed away or something, than if they have different properties. Robyn would technically have more rights to the house as well because she's the only legal wife, which is already kind of a touchy issue. Christine says that in one house she feels like she doesn't have a mom identity, which is interesting. And she also says, Kody doesn't have privacy because of his whole comment during the initial presentation when he said he's gonna need a separate cabin to get away sometimes because he has no privacy. And yeah, that whole comment is just coming back to bite him in the butt. Robyn says that one pro is that in the common area, the kids can get together more, so they can gather and be a little bit more of a family spontaneously. And Mary says that in her confessional that because of her relationship with Kody and how their marriage is basically over, it's like a disaster, it would be just really hard for her. And I get it, because she would have to see Kody all the time with the wives and the other families. Meanwhile, it's like it would just remind her of how bad her marriage is right now. In his confessional, Kody says basically like, let's be real. The real issue is that each one of them, or maybe one of them or two of them, cannot handle seeing him come and go with another wife. Clearly, he means Christine. Christine can't handle seeing him come and go with another wife. Her jealous streak is pretty well established. Then Mary chimes in and kind of sticks up for Kody. I'm really surprised by this. And she says, we all have the capability of living in one home. And Christine kind of shuts down from there. She's like, I don't want to answer the question. Then Robyn starts to cry about Vegas and how they were one family in Vegas. Vegas was special. She's still hanging on to Vegas. Janelle, in her confessional, basically says that in Utah, they were closer than in Vegas. In Vegas, they grew apart. So guys, the moral of this episode, messy, messy, messy. Family politics are so at play with the whole big house thing, and Kody just cannot wrap his mind around the fact that that whole idea is dead in the water. They can stop talking about it anytime. That's it for now, guys. Thank you for your support. Please subscribe and like, and I will talk to you later.